är mars, det är Jämtland och det är fullt med snö. Visita Norrland har sin företagsstämma på Gamla teatern i Östersund. Förutom att det ska klubbas igenom en hel del punkter så kommer en stor idrottsledare, Östersunds FKs fotbollstränare, på besök och föreläser. Och det ska även delas ut ett nytt pris, Årets norrsken, som går till ung företagsledare i regionen. Sen är det ju nytt valår i år. Ny regering eller inte, det vet vi inte. Men vi ska ta reda på vad företagarna och föreningarna i Norrlandsregionen tycker är viktigt att lyfta som ska gynna deras bransch. Häng med in så kikar vi! Berätta, vad är det som händer här ikväll?
Ja, men idag så har vi ju våran stämma helt enkelt för Norrland, för föreningen Norrland. Och det är nästan 60 medlemmar som kommer och är med på det här idag. Och sen försöker vi alltid krydda det med någonting. Så just idag så har vi ju lite tema ledarskap. Så vi har bjudit hit självaste Graham Potter som ska få prata lite om ledarskap och hur vi kan inspireras från andra branscher. Och jag tycker idrotten är ett jättebra exempel på det. Att våga tänka lite utanför boxen och hur de här medlemmarna kan ta med sig det hem.
Blir det en intervju på svenska eller blir det en intervju på engelska?
I wish, säger jag på engelska. Nej, det blir ju efter hans önskan då på engelska. Så att jag ska försöka hacka mig igenom det.
I år är det ett valår. Eventuellt en ny regering ska bildas. Vad tycker du är den viktigaste frågan utifrån din bransch som är viktigast att ta upp i valfrågan?
Då säger jag kompetensförsörjningen. Vi är ju inte ensam som bransch att lida av kompetensbrist. Men för oss är det jätteviktigt att arbetsgivaravgiften för unga till exempel, att vi får tillbaka den. Att det blir en enklare tröskel att anställa alla de unga som finns där ute. För vi har jättebrist. Och speciellt här uppe där vi befinner oss nu, Östersund och Jämtland, som är otroligt turismtätt. Speciellt vintertid. Så att då säger jag att kompetensförsörjningsfrågan måste lösas.
Nu har vi en chef med oss. I Sverige så är det valår i år. Vad tycker du är viktiga frågor att ta med sig inför det valet?
Jämställdhet givetvis och även jobba mycket för våra fina pensionärer givetvis. Så omvårdnad.
Kanske OB-tilläggen, att de är lite högre kanske på dem.
Det är mycket obekväma tider.
Ja, alltså på OB-tillägget på lönerna.
Ja, precis.
Så att de höjs lite kanske.
Det är ju tillgänglighetsfrågor, alltså då handlar det om kommunikationer bland annat. Och det är infrastrukturfrågor. Och det är väldigt viktigt för oss att det är bra vägar. Det byggs kanske järnvägar i förlängningen till våra skidanläggningar. Då ska vi i och för sig komma ihåg att majoriteten av våra skidanläggningar ligger inom storstadsområdena. Så att där kanske inte problemen är likadana. Men för de stora så är det definitivt en fråga som är viktig.
Ja, alltså först och främst så är det ju att man behåller rättvisemomsen. Den är oerhört viktig för hela branschen. Jag personligen tycker att arbetsgivaravgifterna är en oerhört viktig fråga. Och sen är det ju också kompetensförsörjningen.
Vi bör göra någonting åt alla krångliga regler i branschen också.
Något exempel på en regel exempelvis, eller?
Ja, men det finns allt ifrån danstillstånd till hotelltillstånd till certifierade kassaregister till personalliggare till krångliga regler för både alkoholservering och uteserveringar etc. Så att vi vill ha ordning och reda i branschen, men det får finnas någon måtta på krånglet.
Några viktiga grejer, det är regelförenklingar. Idag så är det väldigt mycket regler, det är väldigt mycket administrativt arbete runt regler. De sakerna hade varit väldigt viktiga att få hitta förenklingssaker. Med dagens teknik så ska det inte vara så omständigt som det är idag. Arbetsgivaravgifterna är någonting som gör att man driver på, få in folk i branschen. Vi är en sån bransch där det står extremt många personer. Alltså vi behöver väldigt mycket ny kompetens. Men det går alldeles för sakta att få in ny kompetens. Och då tror jag det är viktigt att man har rätt förutsättningar för att kunna utbilda också på plats.
Ja, vi kan ju ta det som vi såg blev väldigt konkret för oss och som vi hade tidigare, så var det ju det här med lägre arbetsgivaravgifter på yngre medarbetare. Det blev ju en väldigt konkret skillnad som för vår del som jobbar. Det är ju många förstagångsjobbare och det är ju liksom en yngre arbetskår. Så det blev ju ett väldigt konkret exempel på en förändring som påverkar oss negativt, kan man säger då. Det kan man ju alltid hoppas att man kan ta upp den tanken igen då.
Så det är valår i år. Vad tycker du är viktiga frågor som ska gynna er bransch?
Alltså en av de absolut viktigaste frågorna, det är kompetensförsörjningen i branschen. För att vi växer hela tiden. Vi har blivit en väldigt mogen bransch och det är viktigt också att politikerna ser att vi är en basnäring som får Sverige att rulla. Sen tycker jag personligen att det är otroligt viktigt att vi fortsätter att arbeta för att det ska bli billigare att anställa. Alltså det är en straffskatt vi har på när vi har de sociala avgifterna, och det heter då löneavgift, men det är ju en ren skatt på arbete.
Hur gör ni för att nå fram med de här frågorna på något sätt?
Alltså det vi just nu gör, det är ju att jobba med vad är de frågor som vi ska driva hårt från Visita centralt. För att det är egentligen en hel palett med frågor som vi tycker är viktiga. Men för att nå fram i en valrörelse då alla vill synas, då måste vi våga prioritera och säga att det här är de viktigaste. Och det kommer vi vara klar med alldeles snart. Men från Visita Norrland kommer vi jobba med debattartiklar, vi kommer jobba med att träffa politiker. Vi har politiker runt om i området som gör praktik på våra företag, för vi tror att det är lättare att komma fram om de förstår våran vardag. Och sen så är det jätteviktigt att inte släppa momsfrågan. Vid förra valrörelsen så hade vi ju väldigt klar fokus på dubbelstöten som handlade om våra befarade höjning av mat på restaurang och höjningen av arbetsgivaravgifter på unga.
Fortsätta göra det lätt att anställa unga tycker jag är jätteviktigt. Det är en viktig fråga.
Jag går väl lite med på det som händer nu med hur vi ska lagra information. Att man kan få en tydligare bild på det som man kan göra en enkel övergång så att det inte blir att man tappar gäster på grund av att man inte längre kan få spara uppgifter.
Hur ser turismtillströmningen ut i vår region om man räknar hela från Gävle till Kiruna?
Men den är ju jättegod. Men vinter som vi har haft nu, jag tror det var idag jag läste om Skistars rekordsiffror, och det säger ju en del. Så att den är större än det vi har här uppe som är unikt och som vi ännu bättre kan paketera. Det är precis det vi ser här ute. Det är snö, det är miljön, det är skogen och det är naturen, och det är jättemånga som vill komma hit och besöka. 28 miljoner säger man innan de närmaste åren vill komma till Sverige, och det är ju helt fantastiskt.
Ja, hur tycker du turismtillströmningen är hos dig eller i övrigt i länet här?
Jag tycker vi har ett jätteuppsving. De senaste åren har det ju bara blivit bättre och bättre, och det viktigaste för oss som här i näringslivet är att se till att ta hand om dem så att det fortsätter. Det är ett jobb som vi lägger energi på här i alla fall.
Vi har ju inte samma utveckling som vi har haft här. Här blir man ju väldigt imponerad över mottaget som man får överhuvudtaget i Jämtland. Väldigt imponerad på de 4 dagar jag varit här. Och jag kommer ta med mig lite grejer tillbaka till mitt hotell för att försöka göra samma sak som man har lyckats med här. Att få någonting som man behåller alla hela tiden.
Det är föreläsning idag.
Ja.
Graham Potter. Ja. Känner du till han?
Nej, inte det. Men jag läste
vet du inte vem han är? Vet inte vem Graham Potter är? Ja, han är Östersunds fotbollsledare och har gjort jättestora framgångar. Vad tycker du en bra ledare ska få bra egenskaper?
Det är ju framförallt att vara förebild. Det brinner jag väldigt mycket för. Att leda vägen framförallt.
Är du en bra förebild?
Ja, hoppas det.
Såklart. Ikväll så kommer det tilldelas ett nytt stipendium. Årets norrsken. Till en ung ledare inom Visita. Vad tycker ni att dels en ung företagare men företagare överhuvudtaget ska ha för bra egenskaper?
Och våga tänka nytt. Kanske inte i den traditionella bemärkelsen utan också våga tänka kring nya samarbeten och kanske nya vägar framåt. Så det Och det tror jag är något som kännetecknar lite yngre ledare idag.
Se till så att det är roligt. Det är lätt att man jobbar för mycket när man är ung. Men se till så att det är roligt på din arbetsplats. Har du roligt, då kommer folk runt omkring det här roligt också.
Tålamod och mod. Och att våga utveckla sitt ledarskap och ta hjälp i sitt ledarskap. Antingen utav en mentor eller av att jobba med sin egen personlighetsutveckling.
Som ung i branschen och näringen vi i näringen snarare har ett stort ansvar att berätta för ungdomar som har tagit sig till oss att det är en bransch med stora framtidsutsikter. Att det går att klättra, att branschen skriker efter folk. Att vi söker inte bara människor i kök eller i reception eller i städ, utan vi söker mängder av olika typer av tjänster. Det går att kompetensutveckla sig väldigt mycket i våra näring.
Ikväll så skulle det delas ut ett nytt stipendium, Årets norrsken, till en ung företagsledare. Vad har du för råd att ge till en sån ung företagare som har så pass många år kvar i sin bransch?
Alltså för det första så kan jag säga att jag känner mig jättestolt över det här priset. Att vi väljer att premiera unga i branschen, och det är ju ett sätt att också lyfta de som gör ett bra jobb men också visa andra ungar att det är en framtidsbransch. Men rådet som jag skulle vilja ge till Årets norrsken, det är att följa sitt hjärta. Göra det som känns rätt, fortsätta att verka i branschen och komma ihåg de där dagarna då det inte är alldeles enkelt att vi jobbar i världens absolut roligaste bransch.
Du är nominerad i Årets norrsken nu då. På vilka premisser är du nominerad och vad tror du har gjort att du kommer fram till den här nomineringen?
Det är ytterst jävla oklart, men jag lyckas ju på konsten att jag kan alltid se väldigt stökig ut, även i ett ställe där alla är finklädda. Och det kräver att man måste liksom bära upp det på något sätt. Vi är ju helt nyöppnande, vi visste ju inte alls vad vi skulle göra, och att kunna få ett hotell som är fungerande i Piteå på 97 rum är ju en enorm utmaning, och vi försöker verkligen göra någonting som ska kunna vara hållbart där uppe. Och som vi pratar om med turismen, att få in den delen och att det faktiskt går så bra som det gör, att vi lyckas få upp både spanska, italienska, tyska, kinesiska, franska grupper på relativt jämn nivå, tror jag är väl förhoppningsvis det som spelar in.
Så vi lycka till, så får vi se om det blir en segerintervju efteråt då.
Förhoppningsvis.
Att tagit referenser på alla nominerade, och det har varit jättesvårt. Alltså, det låter så här klyschigt att säga att alla kunde ha vunnit, men på sitt sätt så skulle alla kunna ha vunnit. Så styrelsen, förutom de som har varit jävigt, ska vi säga, i situationen, det vill säga att det har funnits de i styrelsen som har haft anställda som har varit nominerade, har inte deltagit i den här processen. Det är jätteviktigt att säga. Så har vi har testat hit och dit och så, och då är det i alla fall 3 stycken som är finalister. Och jag tycker det är extra kul att säga att de är här idag, för alla är minsann inte från Östersund. Så jag får be att Anna Koivola, Maja Gustafsson, Henrik Lejon kommer fram hit idag. Du började vid 21 års ålder, fick vi in från de som nominerade dig. Att då presenterade du tillsammans med en kollega en affärsidé. Kan du berätta lite hur var det och var fick ni den ifrån? Hur började?
Hur är affärsidén? Ja, alltså vi är ju givetvis passionerade båda två då, i den här branschen. Otroligt roligt att jobba. Såg ju nischmarknaden där uppe i Östersund. Vi vet att vi har snö, vi vet att vi har is. Så därför nischade vi in oss på bilevent. Lyckades då hitta en bileventkund från Tyskland. Och så startade vi den här verksamheten. Så det är alltid, vi är inte bara ett hotell utan vi är isbanor och snöskoterturer och sådär. Och idag är din titel, och vad jobbar du med idag?
Idag jobbar jag som montageschef istället.
Hur gammal är du?
Jag är 27.
Va? Det är bra. Och sen har vi Henrik, du har åkt lite längre. Så pass långt som man tar den turen via Stockholm.
Precis, det var ju mycket lätt.
Nej. Peter, restaurang Tages, berätta. Vad gör du där?
Jag är restaurangchef där. Det är ett nybyggt hotell i centrala Piteå. Första gången de bygger någonting som är ett höghus i Piteå. Tänk så kan man säga. Så när man kommer dit, enda gången du kommer känna likheter mellan Piteå och New York. För det är ju så långt du kan se.
Och jag vet att du leder ju, när jag läste det här så fick jag som läsa flera gånger, så får jag kolla referenser. Det stämmer att du leder 70 personer?
Ja, lite till.
Lite till och med. Va? Det är helt otroligt. Och så tänker jag också, så är du utbildad sommelier. Är det något du får praktisera eller skulle du vilja göra mer av?
Nej, jag har ju fullt mandat. Jag har faktiskt en ägare som säger köp vad du vill. Sen blir man på mig efteråt. Jag har köpstopp sen började, men jag får fortsätta ändå.
Tack. Och så har Anna. Du kanske startade din karriär, tänker jag, yngst. För du var 16 år när du började i besöksnäringen. Ja. Och mig vet har du inga planer på att lämna den?
Nej.
Nej.
Det är förlegat.
Och idag så jobbar du och driver och är ansvarig på Edenbos. Kan du berätta lite vad du gör där? Vad är Edenbos?
Ja, Edenbos är ett konditori här i Östersund. Vi startade upp för 2 år sedan ungefär. Då det gick i konkurs och Katarina valde köpa upp det. Och jag blev anställd som platschef och driftschef där. Så jag har hand om personal och driften i allmän och jobbar på plats.
Och hur gammal är du? Det törs man fråga henne.
Jag fyllde 23 för 2 dagar sedan.
Ja, men det jag skojar inte när vi säger att styrelsen och jag har haft faktiskt ett jätte huvudbry. Vi har bollat hit och dit och upp och ner och vi har vänt och vrider. Men som det är så är det så att det är en som ska vinna. Och vad man vinner, förutom den här äran, nummer 1 att bli den första årets norrsken, bara det är ju jättecool. Men sen vinner man ett stipendium på 10 000 kronor som man ska använda på något sätt att förkovra sig i besöksnäringen. Det kan vara ledarskap eller något annat liksom intresse, men det ska liksom landa i besöksnäringen. Men jag tycker att ni är otroligt värda finalister och supertack, speciellt att ni har åkt där långt för att komma hit. Och nu ska fru ordförande här få presentera en motivering och vinna.
Yes. Jag vill också verkligen säga grattis till er alla, och som Tessan sa så är det inte så att det är ni 3 som är nominerade, utan ni är ju alltså framvaskade från väldigt många nomineringar som var också väldigt bra. Men någon ska vinna och motiveringen lyder: vinnaren av årets norrsken. På väldigt kort tid har hen inlett sin bana inom besöksnäringen. Från ett extraarbete som sedan snabbt ledde vidare framåt. Det tydliga ledarskapet såg ägarna snabbt och tog vara på hens kvalitet. Hen beskrivs som lyhörd och omtänksam med gästen och kollegorna i fokus. Årets norrsken 2018 tilldelas Henrik Lejon!
Really? Yeah. Why? You and I talk English every day, but not in front of like 60 people.
Okay.
Är det okej om vi kör det på engelska? Ja.
You have no choice, by the way.
Nu hade jag ju önskat någon som sa nej. Well, Graham, you and me met for about 7 years ago the first time. and since then you and your family become friends to me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
Then 7 years ago, who did I meet as a person?
Oh dear. Start with an easy one, huh?
Yeah.
I think the same person I am now, pretty much fundamentally. Of course, life always shapes you a little bit, but I think the values and the person that I am now was the same person then. But anybody sitting in the room, 7 years is a long time, so
Yeah.
you have lots of experiences, good and bad. That means you sort of lose a little bit of hair and start to get a little bit. You need a bit more cream on an evening to cover the wrinkles, so to speak. But no, I think a sort of family person, come from a working background in England. My mum and dad sort of lived in the same house all their life. Not in well-paid jobs, so to speak. So they had to work hard all their lives to sort of provide for me and my brother. We didn't sort of want for anything in those days. But looking back, we weren't the most. We had it was just a normal, humble sort of upbringing, which I'm very, very grateful for. I had a fantastic time at school. Education was really good. Went to a good school, so that shaped me as well, I think, as a person. And then I had sort of football as my, a bit of my identity, I guess.
When did you start playing?
Well, I was, as soon as I had a ball, as soon as I could walk, I was just kicking a ball around. So I used to terrorise the neighbours, terrorise my dad and my mum. Just either the ball would be in the window, or it would be in the fence, or it would be over the neighbour's garden. So they were happy when I moved out, I think. And then you sort of start professionally, and left school and forego education and forego that path to play football, which is a bit of a risk, I think. Certainly for my mum was a bit worried at the time that I was giving up my education.
Yeah.
Essentially. All my pals went to university and stuff and working this, doing professional proper jobs, and I'm sort of stuck in football. But it's worked out okay.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, in the end.
And professional-wise, then, you started as a young kid playing soccer, and then you ended up in football-wise.
Yeah, so I started at Birmingham City. So that was my local team, the local club. Birmingham's quite, it's a big city, second city in England. So I think it's about 5 million people live there. Two big clubs, Birmingham and Villa, and I started there. I made my debut when I was 17, and quickly I realised how tough professional football is. I remember there was one I started and the team was rubbish, pretty much, and that's probably why I started to play. But it was this one. It was after this one particular game, and they used to have a chat show on in England. It was like a Friday night chat show. And it was basically polar opinions in the audience, and it was just there to provoke an argument, essentially. Quite good at arguing the English. So anyway, the subject was the demise of Birmingham City, and I was only 17 at the time, and I remember it started off blah 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 blah. I went to this guy in the audience. This is like Friday night telly. This guy in the audience. I just want to make a point. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Just want to make a point. I want to make a point about Graham Potter. He is the worst player ever to play for Birmingham City. Sort of sat there. Had a game the next day. So then I realised quickly that it's a tough environment I'm working in.
Did you win that game?
I can't remember. I was traumatised. I can't remember that bit of story. I probably didn't. So that was quite a harsh awakening. They're just supporters are very demanding and are not shy to be critical. And you're sort of into that environment quickly. I was 17. I wasn't an adult. You're into the sort of at that time English football was out of the sort of it's still in the European ban, I think. So it was very island mentality, it's a bit isolated, I think. And as a result of that, there was not a great culture for a 17-year-old to go into. But it's sort of sink or swim, and you have to survive.
Yeah. And you ended your career in which team? And why?
The illustrious Macclesfield town. When I was 30 years old, I'd sort of my sort of career from Birmingham went a little bit like that, and then it went sort of like that. But I had 13 years, so I was really lucky. I was, you dream to play football as a kid, and I made a living. It was my job, and I also had fantastic memories and met loads of great people and played against loads of good players and top players. But I finished at Macclesfield when I was 30. I stopped really enjoying the game, so I got to the point where, yeah, from an idealistic perspective, from a kid, whenever he could, any spare time, would have a ball. So I loved football, and then I just got to the point where I don't want to get paid for doing this anymore. I want to do something else, which was quite a powerful moment in my life, I think, because I realised that I was, Manchester United weren't going to come in for me. Real Madrid weren't going to come in for me. I was at Macclesfield, who's League Two, so it was just about picking the money up, really. I didn't really want to do that, so I realised that I had to sort of start the next stage of my career or my life.
And was it then you started to get interested about the other side of soccer?
Yeah, I think so. And it sort of happened organically. It wasn't really a plan. What I'd experienced as a footballer was ex-players going into coaching without the skill sets to coach, really, too often. And also in an environment where you can't make too many mistakes because you're going to get sacked. And the environment really for football managers in England, I think, the average time span is like 13 months. And I think a big percentage of first-time coaches only get one chance. So, and then I started to do my coaching, and I realised that, like, the formal path that I went down, it just wasn't for me. It was a stop, stand still, very, I'm the coach, I'll solve your problems for you, and it didn't seem like the right approach for me. So I had to think, okay, so what's the best thing to do now to try and develop and to use? Because I had 13 years as a player, so I had some experiences and something useful to offer. But I needed to be able to learn how to coach and how to lead and how to manage. So that sort of inspired me to, or not inspired me, but I thought, well, okay, stop playing, try to be proactive with it. I enrolled in a teaching qualification, did loads of as many different coaching as I could.
Yeah, and you still do, right?
Yeah.
You're a coach. I mean, you go back to England to do some work, right?
Not so much. No. If anything, I have enough here.
So over these past 7 years that you've been here, looking back, would you do something different professional-wise, like in your leadership? Would you, now that you know the history of these 7 years, would you do anything different?
Nah. I don't think you can. I don't think you can have that. Have I made mistakes? Yes, loads. Absolutely. But they were made for some reason. And then the important thing is you reflect back and, okay, so what did I learn from that? How can we improve from that? And that's the process. I can't say I've got any reflections from a professional perspective as, I should have done something different, or I would change anything. I wouldn't change anything at all. It's been amazing. And like I said, not always. I'm not sitting here saying I'm perfect either, because we haven't been. Lots of things that we could have. But again, I think it's a lot of how mistakes are seen in the world. Mistakes are often seen as things that you shouldn't do and that you should avoid. But I think they're things that you actually learn and get better from. So.
And I mean, you handle people. It's a different group from a different season. Do you think the group, the people in the group change? Do you have to change your leadership depending on the group? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I think yes. I think you always have to. The key to, I think, leadership is to be flexible with the people that you have, the context that you're working in, and the environment that you have. So and everybody responds to different things, and the trick is what is the right approach for the individual. So yeah, that's, I think, to be flexible with your communication, to be flexible with your style. Some people need to be taught something, some people need to be just told something, guided there themselves. Sometimes you can just leave it, just so when to and when to adapt and when to change, I think is the right is the actual trick.
I'm going to read you something from Wikipedia and see if you agree. According to Wikipedia, a leader is a person who structures and oversees the work and or the life of a group of people. Do you agree with that?
Hang on to it.
Do you want it in Swedish?
Nope.
Nope. Tips to give someone just starting their leadership.
If you go on an airplane, make sure you turn your flight mode off. That's a good one.
Like basic rules.
Okay. For me, I think know yourself is the good one, is the first one. Know yourself, know what makes you frustrated, what makes you happy, what makes you disappointed, what makes you upset. And then, because if you don't know that, then you can get yourself into a bit of a state. I think as a leader you have to role model how you want things to be. So being aware of how things affect you is I think the most important thing, because then you can start to take responsibility for it, and then you can start to sort of act in a way that is the right way for you and the people you're leading. So that would be the thing for me, I think. Would be the main thing.
I often say that you're funny because I know you a bit more private. You just got a sense of his humor. Would you agree with that? Do you have any more like sites you want to tell the audience that they don't know, that they don't see on telly? Good or bad?
It'll turn into therapy. That's the
yeah. I'm more like Dr. Phil.
Now I'm feeling nervous. No, you know, my job isn't. It's a bit weird because you can't necessarily. I think it's a trick between being professional, helping the team, helping the. You know, my job is to help the team and help the club. It's not to sort of be me necessarily, but of course you need to be authentic when you're communicating stuff out. So that's the trick when you're speaking to the media, and sometimes, especially. The biggest challenge I have is, you know, after a game, when you're probably most vulnerable, then that's when you have to communicate with the media. So if you've just lost and you know things have happened, you know, it's like you can't really be yourself because there's too much emotion going around, and then it's.
How do you handle it then?
You have to like almost. It's not an act, but it's you have to just understand that the journalist has got a job to do. They're asking you questions, you have to answer them, not get too caught up with it, not be too emotional about it. Yeah, exactly. So, but it's one of the sort of the challenges I think of football.
Yeah.
But so yeah, you know. I've got a press guy, and he says, I sort of know what you're going to say. You're going to say, it's a tough game, proud of the players, blah, blah, blah. So, well, if you lot ask me better questions, I'll give you a different answer. You know, what do you want me to say? So, it's not so easy to actually be yourself. But I'm all right, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe, like, perhaps the biggest leadership you can take on is parenthood. How are you as a dad? How would Charlie, Sam, and Theo, maybe best Charlie then, describe you as a dad? You have 3 kids, right?
Yes, yeah.
Charlie is 8.
Yep.
And the twins are turning 3 this summer, right?
They are turning 3, yes. Every day.
And you're still alive.
Every day I ask my wife, when will it get easier? She said 5. When they're 5. 5. 5. That's a long time away.
And the dog.
And the dog, yeah, that was a great idea as well, not mine. The dog came about because essentially when we first arrived here, You know, my wife sort of pretty much gave up her life to come here. It's been so well documented. To be my wife, essentially. Now, how depressing is that for anybody? So she pretty much, while I was sort of working out how Swedish football works, which means driving around the northern part of Sweden, and anybody that's driven around the northern part of Sweden
they know
it takes a long time before you see anything. You see a lot of trees and about 3 cars. So you know, she sort of sat in this flat and on her own with Charlie, who was 11 months old, and thinking, what am I going to do? It's minus 25 outside, no friends, no family, no job, waiting for me to come home. You know, it's dear. So we sort of got through that first period. At the time as well, it wasn't so positive in Östersund, in terms of Östersund Football Club. So she went up to the school before she met Tess and sort of had a conversation with, you know, the people there. Oh, what are you doing here? Well, my husband's got a job. Oh, brilliant. What does he do? Oh, he's a football coach. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, who for? Östersund Football Club. Oh, I'd go home if I were you. So she's like, why are we actually here? Tell me about why we're here. Because, and then she did a bit more research and found out that pretty much every year before we got there, every year, at the end of the year, the coach got sacked. So it's like, you didn't tell me this. So I thought I had to buy her a dog.
And then came Sam and Theo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Should have bought her a couple of dogs.
So if Charlie would describe you as a dad.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Probably one that sort of messes up Mommy's rules somewhat. So she's tried to sort of calm everything down. You know, at dinner time, spend a lot of time teaching them how to behave at the dinner table, not throw the food, you know, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know whether your kids do this, but my kids do. And then I come in and just think it's quite funny, so they just do it more. And then it's not good.
Could that be because you're away so much, so when you're home, you want to be that, super dad?
Maybe.
The funny one and...
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe I'm just a poor father. Poor father and husband. Again, it's therapy, so why not? Yeah, but I am away and sort of too much, really, for someone that has twins and an 8-year-old. It's incredible. So I do my bit, and I try to get home pretty much every night, sort of 4 or 5 o'clock, and then I've got that wonderful before bedtime hour where they're just going absolutely crazy, and then they melt down, and it's so that's good. I really enjoy that moment. Those moments.
Like a normal day when you're home, how could that be? Like, you wake up, do you take the kids to school and daycare, and then you go to work?
Yeah, that's how it is.
What do you do then?
And then so we're in, I just plan for the morning's training session. Check who's training, who's not, speak to the staff, plan what we're going to do, then have training, sort of evaluate lunch, evaluate training, then start to plan for the next training or the next match coming up, and then anything else that comes up. And as we've sort of progressed as a club, there's been more stuff outside of that process that's sort of moved forward. Lots more other things to do.
Yeah. What strikes me, like last week, me and Rachel was going for a walk, and then you were sitting with your computer. It was when you're going to play Malmö.
Mm.
And that scene I've been seeing a lot. So you put a lot of time, not when you are like at the arena, that you do home. How many hours do you spend like analyzing and watching the opponents that you're going to meet just for one game normally, like an average? Because you to go pause play.
Yeah, sometimes. But also it's about watching our game and our performance. So I would say it's mostly around that, about what we did and what we can do better, and how you can help the players. And then you have to have an understanding of what the opposition are going to do as well. But I would, I don't know. I haven't. So I couldn't put a figure on it, but I'd always do a couple of hours after the kids have gone to bed,
Yeah.
normally.
That would be a dream job for my boss. Yeah.
And I'm like, it depends how you see. You know, we all have choices, and it's like I love my job that I do, and so it's no hardship for me. It's my choice, and I really like it. I can still be home with the kids for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I'm still home a lot, you know, with the boys and my wife. And then I've got this great job where I'm part of this fantastic project that I'm really proud of. So, you know, of course you have these dark days, and Rachel says, "Oh, you know, just stop. What what would you do?" And that's actually quite scary.
Yeah.
Knowing what else, you know, what I would do if I wasn't doing this.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden Daniel just said, "See you later," and then I'm back to England, and then, okay, so what am I going to do now? So that's the driving bit as well, I think.
I don't think you need to worry right now, anyhow. Do
Never know.
Do you think you need courage to be a good leader?
Yes, I think so. Because you're trying to, really what you should be trying to do is persuade people to do something that they don't think is possible. That's what it is, really. You know, there's management, which is one thing, and then there's leadership. And there's a difference. So, and then if you're trying to, and then I think if you're going to do something different, so pretty much I'm sure all these guys will know if they've tried to do something, they're setting something up, maybe it hasn't been done before, you're entering a market, you've got to put your product there. Well, there's lots of people that will turn around and say, "No, you can't do this, you can't do that." And there's so many wise people out there that will tell you to stick to conventional thought, to stick to what you should, you know, what you should do. So if you're going to be the person that's driving that process forward, then I suppose you have to have a bit of courage, because you know that you might fail, and it's harder to. It's nobody really wants to fail. No one really wants to not succeed. Everyone wants to be comfortable and have success. But often the failure and the disappointment and the setback is what you need to be able to get to that bit, and I think that takes a bit of courage to go through that.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah. Would you say that this, you know, that I was in the beginning, I said you've been singing, dancing, you've even been writing, and I saw your rehearsal when you're doing this Svansjön, and I had my fears.
You're not the only one.
He was going, you were having these on at home and just jumping around, do you remember?
I blanked it out.
Yeah. But you did it. And I think that of you and the club and the players and all the staff, that takes courage, right? And people describe that as you as a team, all the staff, they describe it as thinking outside the box. That's kind of been the whole thing. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Like, so if you go back 7 years to where Östersund Football Club was in terms of on the Swedish football map, if we just compete and do what everybody else does conventionally, then we've got no chance, because no history, no tradition, no culture, there's nothing to really offer. So you've got to create something that is okay. So this is what we're about, and part of that was about we had to be sort of quite clear about how we were playing football, so what our product looked like on the pitch. And that had to be different than what was currently there. Not to say better or worse, but just different. To be able to give us an advantage in terms of recruitment and recruiting players. And then once you have that identity on the pitch, then you can say, okay, so how are we... I've got this model that I use.
Do you want to write it down?
I can do.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Det finns någon personal på det här hotellet som jobbar.
so.
It's the YouTubers.
YouTube, wow.
The influencers.
So this, just to give you some background, this model I came across on my master's degree when I did a master's, and it was it's a performance model. And it was something I used when I came here, just to try to change the dynamic of the thinking that was there at the time, because it was really results focused. It was really a lot about how to win football matches without any idea of the process around it. And for us, we had to change the environment from this blame culture that existed to one a bit more of a learning environment, and a bit more about how we can use the process to get better. So if I just write this, so it's called the performance equation. And believe you me, that says performance. So, and when we say performance, what I mean by is like actions and results. And this is management. So that's mostly what management's concerned with, what you do and the results you get, performance. And in terms of football, you're always looking to try and improve your performance. It's a result of potential, which is your knowledge and your skills and your ability to learn, plus or minus, we'll run out of space, psychology, which is your attitude, which is your emotional intelligence, and that can be done by coaching. So, traditionally, I don't know, but traditionally management's concerned with performance. They send people on training courses to improve their knowledge and the skills, to upskill the workers, but still nothing happens because there's a plus-minus relationship here, and often it's about this. So, and this is about attitude, so understanding from an organisational perspective how you're bringing in, how you're recruiting people from a knowledge and skills perspective and an attitude perspective, crucially. The type of people that you want to bring into your organisation, how you're recruiting them, how you retaining those people based on your identity that we wanted to establish as a club and our values. And that really then started to go, okay, from that point, then the key thing is once you've recruited the people and once you know who you're bringing in at the professional level, how are you developing them? How are you developing someone's knowledge and the skills, and how are you developing their psychology, their attitude? So the culture project really is just a way for us to work in this area. It's not necessarily helping us play, pass or control or shoot or do anything, but it's helping us develop here. So how we develop self-awareness, what you're like in a group when you're doing something you don't really want to do, how are you giving energy to the group, how are you taking responsibility for how you act, how can you deal with motivation when you're not that motivated, how are you developing empathy. So this is a bit of a leadership model. I don't know, that's developed into something that. And then on a personal level, so it's almost on 3 levels. So at an organisational level, the people you're bringing in, how you're recruiting and retaining. On a professional level, how are you developing the people when they come in? And then on a personal level, how you're communicating that vision. Okay, you're coming to our organisation. These are the strengths that you have. This is how you can help us reach our goals. So that was and we've pretty much used that from day one until now to sort of guide our thinking. And we still use this process now. So people say, oh, now you've got all this money, what are you going to do? Well, it's still an understanding of this.
Jag kan ta en refill också, men det kanske inte var lika långt. Like in your leadership, do you have anyone like that you look up to? Do you have like a mentor?
Yeah, sort of. The guy that introduced me to Daniel is probably the person that I would maybe speak to often. He's sort of done more than me as a coach, so I speak to him a bit. so I'd say he's the main guy. I haven't got anybody from outside of football, but
Do you think you should?
I think it might be useful. Yeah, yeah.
I'm free. Do you have like ways in your leadership that you want to improve or maybe even change?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm not so. By personality, I'm not so structured. I'm not really a planner, so that's a problem. Can be. Some people are really good, and the important thing is once you know that, then you can know why. Some people really like. I've got this goalkeeper coach, bless him. I think he lives in an Excel spreadsheet. Honestly, I think he does. So he's obviously he likes to plan and he likes to have structure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've not really been that way. I think in some way I must have, but not in the really.
Yeah, but do you think it could be so, like in a group, like in your staff, you're not the Excel person?
No.
But could there be a good way that you then surround yourself with that, so as a team?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and that's the key, isn't it, with your group of. So you need to understand yourself. Okay, I'm not so good here, but I need somebody to be able to help me.
That's how me and Miss Sherman that works.
Okay.
Very different.
Yeah.
How important?
Good cop, bad cop, huh?
How important do you think it is to have like goals, like that you can kind of check in a good leadership? Do you need that? Or could goals be anything else that you can't measure?
Yes, I've thought about this quite a bit, and again, it's not something that I'm really that maybe good with. I don't know. Our goal is this: to try and win the next match, and then to try and improve. And of course, you have to be able to measure that and identify what improvement means. So that's where the goal setting, I think, or just some sort of performance measurement helps. But ours has essentially been to focus on the next game, and it's driven a lot by Daniel.
Yeah.
So he won't say, "I tell you what, this year we'll have, we can finish 10th. That's okay," or "We'll finish." It doesn't work in that way. It's more focus on the next match.
But is that the true? You tell the media that we're going to win the next game.
We'll try. We'll try
to win the next game. But to be honest, don't you have like a goal in here? Like let's say Allsvenskan. You don't have to tell me the goal. But
no, but the goal in the end will always be to be champions.
Yeah.
That's the aim. But you have to just focus on the next match. I don't think there's exactly. I don't think there's necessarily a. I've heard other people go, "Oh, we'll look in blocks and we'll split it up and we'll do this and we'll try and." It's more about, okay, that's from a results perspective. They're the goals we set, and then we'll try to improve our principles of play. That would be how we would work.
Well, we're getting to the end, and I'm going to let you ask some questions just in like 5 minutes. But career-wise, what do you dream about? What would be your goal there? Like if you can just go bananas.
No, I'm maybe I'm a bit weird, but I haven't got these goals or necessarily dreams like that. I started off as a coach. I wanted to improve. I wanted to get better. I felt really uncomfortable coaching. I felt really uncomfortable standing in front of people and speaking. So I wanted to get better at doing that. I still don't feel like I'm that, I still don't feel like I'm on this great, comfortable doing what I'm doing. I still feel I can improve. So for me, the dream would be to just go and feel, yeah, I'm quite good at this. But I don't think I ever will. I think it's always a case of trying to get better.
But maybe that's because you as a person, because do you think that you
Yeah, maybe these are my issues. Maybe again, therapy again.
Yeah. We're doing good. So now you're signed for another 4 years. I'm super happy. And I sometimes get the question, like, how long do you think that would stay? What are your thoughts, like, this journey, if it will end with the FK and you would leave, what do you think about like the life after the FK? Or is it the same answer? You're like here right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think as soon as you think too far ahead, certainly in football, you just can't. You get yourself into real problems. And actually, how I live my life, I don't think there's any. You know, I couldn't have thought 7 years ago that we'd have done what we've done. I'm sitting here talking to you guys. I didn't plan for that to happen. I thought, okay, we want to try and make a difference. We want to try and create something that people are proud of. What does that look like? I don't know. I remember, like, when we first came, just literally had the feeling that you could actually walk down the street and be okay about it, because there was like a lot of negativity. So, and I remember those days. You know, I don't take it for granted, and everything's all right, and everything's easy. You have to keep trying to improve. So for me, it's just to carry on and not to think too far. I haven't got this end goal. I just want to be able to have a career that when I look back, I'm sort of proud of. That I've sort of done something that affected people's lives, the players' lives in a good way, the members of staff that I work with in a good way, because, you know, ultimately they've done that to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I'm the only person that's contributed to Östersund's success. I've played my part in it, but there's loads of people that I can hardly even mention that of course have done their bit as well, and I'm very lucky to have been part of that.
Do you remember when I told you about Östersund's BK? You know that story about that soccer team?
Yeah.
And I compared them to you.
Yes.
Do you think the end of Östersund's BK would be for you to win Allsvenskan?
No. See, as soon as you're out on YouTube, you've got to be careful what you say. No, but it's not about it's not about that for me. Although, of course, we're competitive. We're in a competition, and I've got a sort of a lunatic chairman. You know, who'll talk a lot. So and yeah, he's brilliant for me. But it isn't about necessarily winning football matches or titles even. It's about whether you connect with the supporters, whether people go, okay, yeah, I like what's happening here, I'm proud of the team, it's helping people's lives develop. The players have come to Östersund and have had a positive influence in their life as a result of playing for Östersund. That's more important than 3 points or whatever. But so that's why I think you can carry on regardless of what success you have, because ultimately that process will always continue.
Yeah, and I remember the first game we went to. It was about, I don't know, it wasn't even 100 people. You know that day when Rachel left that roast beef in the oven? The first time you treated us for dinner.
There's been many days Rachel left the roast beef in the oven.
It demanded a bit of assault. But then it was about 100 people. And last week I visited Luleå, which is, 60 Swedish miles up north. And I saw plenty of people wearing ÖFK hats in Luleå. So it's just not Östersund's team. I wouldn't say it's just Norrland's team. I would say all over Sweden people are talking about ÖFK. Do you get that? What's been happening for these 7 years? Not even 100 people. People were asking why do we need a coach? We don't even have a soccer team. To you playing Arsenal with a team a couple of weeks ago here at Jämtkraft Arena. Do you get that?
Yeah, I do, and it's really again, I'm just so lucky to have had that experience to be able to, so my eldest has grown up with that, and now he goes to Knättiskola, and there's 60-70 kids wearing Östersund Football Club.
Yeah. I find it weird.
Yeah, exactly. At a place that was it was a winter city. No one cared about that, and then you just bump into people in Ikamaxi and saying thank you, and I hated football before, didn't like football, and now I love it. I don't miss a match. Those things are just so special. So to have that opportunity to be able to do that, it's been amazing. And then when you walk around Arlanda Airport, you do get people saying, I'm a Hammarby supporter, I'm a Djurgården supporter, but still, I like what you've done, despite the chairman.
Yeah.
Cut that bit off YouTube.
So finally, the last question is, and you can't answer ÖFK. There are a lot of football fans here. Your favorite team in the whole world, what would you say?
That would be quite low on the on the suggestions for me. Elfsborg, no. My favourite team in the whole world. I haven't got one.
In England, then, an English team.
No, I haven't really got one either in England. I was a weird guy because I actually liked Aston Villa and Birmingham City. They're my two teams that I liked. My earliest childhood memories were sitting in the European Cup, so our times have changed. Aston Villa won what is the Champions League back in the sort of 80s, and I've got a picture at a working man's club with my dad, with me sat in what is now the Champions League. So I had an affinity for Aston Villa, and then of course Birmingham City is my sort of first team. So, but you know, I've been to Barcelona lots, and I love Barcelona as well. So of course it's easy for me to say Barcelona instead of Birmingham City.
Yeah.
It's a bit more credible.
So any questions to Graham? Det är okej att säga med svenska. I can Google translate it for you.
It was a bit of a process. I stopped playing football, and then I had 5 years working in the university sector in the UK. So that's where I did my masters and my education, and I did that training that I spoke about needing to just coach as much as possible. And I had these lots of experiences, a fantastic environment where you could learn from different sports and sports science and sports psychology, leadership, etc., etc. And then I just thought I wanted to test this sort of model that I had, or this method, or my thoughts in the football world. And there wasn't any real opportunities to do that in England, because I'd stopped when I was 30 and I'd been in university for 5 years. So it just wasn't really any opportunities for me to get back into English football. And then it was the guy that introduced me to Daniel. Me and him followed the same sort of path. So he went into education after football and coaching, and he met Daniel. And he liked Daniel, and he sort of trusted him and liked what he said. And he introduced me to him. Daniel was at the time looking for a coach, sort of a different coach, if you like, and he sold me this sort of vision that he had of the club, which was to do something different, to create something, and that's what really appealed. Naively, I thought I could, do it. Without the real understanding of the big picture that I've tried to explain here. But it was more the philosophical way that he spoke around doing something different and creating something was what appealed. Yeah, sort of.
Mer fråga? Yeah.
What would you say is your fuel or inspiration? Is it a process with team or the organization, or is it a goal, or is it a combination?
Yeah, it's a lot of, I hate losing. So the goal is often to try to win, just so you haven't lost, because that feeling is not very pleasant. So there is an element of that, of course, but then, and it'd be wrong for me, because we're in it's a competition and we're in sport, and that's what you go into it for. But as I tried to say, for me, it's about, can I improve? Can I feel that I'm getting better at what I'm doing as a job? Can I be a better coach, a better person as a result of what I'm doing? And then, more important than that, or fundamentally alongside that, is, can I help the people that I'm working with to get better? Because they're all young lads, and they want to, they're the staff that are obviously not young lads, they're sort of older, and male or female. Everybody wants to come to work and feel that they're improving. I think if you can create an environment where people feel that they're getting better at their job, and they feel that they're part of something, then that's really the key to, and it's what I sort of strive to do. So that's what I think what I'm most excited about and what I value. But it's also nice to win.
En sista fråga, är det någon som har någon? Och nu har vi 2, så vi tar 2 snabba. Du börjar sen, Katarina.
What would you say is the biggest difference that you made that's been the big part of the success? What was like the biggest change that's been made?
I think just changing the environment around from the one that was pretty much, because people, managers were getting sacked pretty much every year. So in that environment where one person gets the blame, the rest of the people can sort of take it quite easy, because they know, well, somebody else is going to come along, and as long as I keep my nose clean here, I'm all right. So change that away from the sort of blame culture that was a little bit towards one that's about responsibility and about learning and how you deal with mistakes. I think that's the most important one. And then ultimately it was about identity. It was about what does an Östersund football club team look like on the pitch. Because without that, I don't think that people get behind you as much. They need to know what they're seeing. And ultimately trying to persuade people to pay money to come and watch you play football. So you have to provide some sort of thing that says, okay, we can go with this, we can buy into this. Because then that allows you to then recruit, and it allows you to maybe inspire, businesses to support. It inspires young people to play football because they want to be the next Dennis Wiedegren, they want to be the next Saman Ghoddos. So we were at a stage when nothing, there was no football, nothing. So now it's about, okay, when 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds, 6-year-olds, now they might believe that they can be an Allsvenskan footballer. And that's, I think the identity, you have to have the identity first to be able to do that.
Last question, Katarina.
How was it to come back to England and play at the Emirates Stadium against Arsenal?
It was great at half time. It's fantastic at half time. It was brilliant, wonderful. I mean, not because of me in England. It's more just, that arena is. If you put that arena here, you put that arena anywhere, it's amazing. Wonderful club, wonderful people to sort of compete with. And then just to see so many people from Jämtland behind the goal at the Emirates was just amazing. 5,000 people walking, you were sort of through London, and you just see of course scarves in London. It's bizarre. What's going on here? Trying to, buy a coffee in wherever it was, Oxford Court Road, and literally just Östersunders sort of wanting to take selfies. You're meant to be anonymous in London. Hang on a minute. And then, there's Jämtland Songen played before the game, and just everybody was going nuts behind the goal. And then we scored 2 goals, and everyone was going nuts again. So it was an amazing experience, really, one of those sort of moments. And I actually speak to people around Sweden as well, and they were like they're saying like, "Fan, I was on the edge of my sofa," and I'm like thinking, "Wow, they can do it." So just to create that moment was special. So again, another memory that will live with me for the rest of my life, and one I'm very, very lucky to have. Was you going nuts as well?
And I think you will create many more memories for yourself and for us in
Hopefully.
the next 4 years.
Hopefully.
Graham Potter.
Välkommen tillbaka! Det vart en segerintervju trots allt.
Ja, men det är roligt så.
Jag kör en klassisk sportfråga. Hur känns det?
Det känns ju fantastiskt roligt att få chansen att vinna med dessutom så bra konkurrens som det var. Liksom. Det var ju jätteduktigt, lät ju helt imponerande att förstå att de väljer mig i förhållande. Det är jättekul att bara känna att en jävla egoboost man får av en sån grej.
Absolut, och det var ju en fantastisk motivering att du så på kort tid ändå har byggt upp ett sånt stort arbetslag som du har. Hur en sån här vinst, självförtroendemässigt, hur tror du att det kommer kännas att komma tillbaka på jobbet på måndag?
Det kommer kännas jättekul. Jag är faktiskt tillbaka på jobbet redan imorgon, så att jag kommer köra igång, och det är ju svårt att säga en sån här grej att man vinner det själv när det är en sån stor arbetsstyrka. Det krävs ju också att ledarskap är ju inte bara att jag går in och berättar vad de ska göra. Du måste ju vilja lyssna. Du måste hitta en grupp som vill framåt. Det är det jag är mest stolt över som jag lyckas med på Tages. Eller vi tillsammans har lyckats med att vi får en grupp som alla vill framåt.
Och jag hör också när de intervjuade dig innan så du ansvarar för 70 stycken medarbetare. Lite över 70 stycken. Har du själv varit med i processen och kunna bestämma eller fick du komma in i ett arbetslag som redan fanns?
Jag hade ju turen att jag har en väldigt duktig grupp som startade processen eftersom processen var samtidigt som jag gjorde färdigt min sommelierutbildning. Så att när jag kom in så hade vi ett lag på 30 namn som jag fick träffa och säga som de hade som scoutat ut åt mig. Sen alla andra har jag ju suttit med och intervjuat eller plockat in helt själv. Så att det är ju mitt folk.
Dina adepter.
Ja men det...
Hör du fick ju 10 000 kronor som du ska använda i besöksnäringen. Om du på något sätt skulle försöka komma på någonting som du vill använda för pengarna, är det någonting du kan fundera på?
Ja, vi ska någonstans där de gör någonting jävligt häftigt. Sen spontant vars det blir, jag har en restaurang jag vill besöka, jag har ställen jag vill se. Det blir någonting sånt. För det är det jag tycker är roligast själv.
Vart var du kom från?
Piteå.
Jag kan tänka mig att nästa här så är det en fantastiskt stor firmafest i Piteå. Är jag helt fel ute då?
Det kan vara som en slump att det blir det. Det är jäkligt konstigt.
Och bli inte förvånad om en jämtlänning dyker upp och är med och i kulissen och dricker lite bubbel och lite
om du är inte där, vem ska intervjua mig då?
Ja, men jag kommer upp. Jag kommer.
Det här.
Hörru, stort lycka till och ett stort grattis.
Tack så mycket.
Och stort lycka till med ditt fortsatta företagsdrivande. Så hoppas vi kan stå och köra fler segerintervju framöver.
Det vore ju roligt så.
Ja, ha en fortsatt trevlig kväll.
Detsamma.
Och vi tänker avsluta här från Visita Norrlands företagsstämma. Och festen den kommer fortsätta kvällen lång, men jag får ju inte vara med. Utan nu är det ju så här, journalister och grejer, de får ju gå off. Stort tack för mig och allt framåt för besöksnäringen i Norrland. Yeah!